Number 3, scout the stat line, top 10 for second base prospect via the model for 2024 was Michael Arroyo for the Seattle Mariners. Arroyo had a really nice season. His prime projections coming at a 127.5 WRC plus, 262 batting average, 352 on base percentage, a 476 slug. That's nice. Projecting 25 home runs, 12 stolen bases, 10% walk rate, 23% strikeout rate. Arroyo a little bit smaller in stature as well. We see a running trend here with the second baseman, but really starting to pop for prospectors. And I think starting to get the organization in Seattle excited. Just another name in the organization that they have now produced. What are your thoughts on Arroyo?
Someone where it's like I don't want to rank him as high as I am forced to. Lewis Analysis loves this guy. So this is what I think he has some crazy high, like top 10 or something. A little bit nonsensical, in my opinion. Shots fired. But he is 5'8", which is not great. It says he's 160. I just don't know what to believe with these formerly DSL guys. It's probably not 160 anymore. But I mean, then you look at his numbers, though. It's kind of like Kristian Campbell. In that, I'm like, how low can I rank him? I mean, this guy gave us 23 home runs, 18 stolen bases. Again, those caught stealing numbers did ramp up, in high A. So let's keep an eye on that. Maybe he's not that fast. Maybe he doesn't have. The thing is, when I say this, folks, when I say the caught stealing numbers are going up, that could mean two things. It could mean one, they're just not as fast and they can't get away with it with stealing bases the way they could against lesser catching. That said, it could also mean that they are fast and they just need to learn their technique better. There's a lot. Actually, there's more than two things. There's a bunch of different elements that can come into play here, but it's still something to watch because if you're being inefficient, it doesn't really matter how fast you are. And yeah, of course, his ratios were pretty good too. It's 285, 400. I'd want to run what his K percentage is here. I'm not on my normal keyboard, so I'm not going to, but we'll keep an eye on that. It seems like a decent amount of strikeouts. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like we're looking at a potential 2020 guy here. That's his upside. I'm seeing 2020, depending on if this power can play at higher levels. So far, it is. I think if he was in his 20s when he did this, I'd be more concerned. He was 19 last year. So I actually think that Arroyo is not getting the hype he deserves. What a roller coaster ride. I started off this whole analysis saying I don't want to actually have to rank him that high. And this is exactly what happened to me when I had to rank him. I ended up in this position where I'm like, oh, he's actually underrated. As of right now, prove us wrong.
Well, yeah, and then his splits between A ball and high A are almost identical. 279 at A ball, 291 at high A. I mean, across the board, played 60 games at both levels. Power was equal. That's a big thing I look for is, do they translate as soon as they move up? And at 19, like you said, I think the power is looking real. The speed is something we always have to just project as lowering. That's just the reality of it. But I do think you're right. He has to be ranked higher than I would like to, and it's a size measurable concept there. But this will be a really great season in 2025 to gauge his real value in Dynasty, and I think he's going to be top 15, top 20 end of season if we can continue to see success as he works his way into Double A. But again, a logjam with the Mariners. We have a couple of guys you and I talked about that are going to be either on this list or on the shortstop list, and it's like, where do they all play? I think Arroyo's probably a perfect trade candidate. Do you think it falls in that trade bag?
It's Seattle. I mean, everyone's in that trade
Yeah.
bag. I mean, or Emerson could be traded. I don't know. Their GM loves dealing prospects. I don't think anyone's safe. And I mean anyone. I think Lazaro Montes could be traded. I think Colt Emerson could be traded, depending what other teams are offering, right? Which is kind of interesting. And because we can see that some MLB franchises do not operate like that. They say you can't have Holiday, Basayo, or Mayo.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about Mayo. I think he might be going. But some guys, it seems like there's untouchables. And it's kind of like our fantasy leagues. Some GMs will refuse to touch. I'm in a new league. Some guy says no one under 29 can be traded. I'm like, okay, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But I kind of respect it because it's so weird. It's a very bad idea. And then there's me. I'm like, dude, anyone, you give me the right offer. Like pretty much everyone other than like Max Clark or Caleb Durbin, or Wyatt Langford. Okay, I guess I got untouchables. But you know what I'm saying. I think that he could easily be traded. I'm trying to look at where he was playing last year. Most of his duties were at second, and he feels like a second baseman.